Today's plan of attack um, is to get my this zooming feature working, which has been kind of, I gotta say, I mean, it's been kind of frustrating. I worked on it yesterday, fair amount, and then I'm finding that there are things about Unity that I am really not liking. Now, I don't know if this is normally the way of the world, but it's, but okay, here's the deal. Things don't zoom well. When you resize a grid, you kind of want them to stay proportionately in the same place. But here's the problem. Look, if I now the only way you can get things to grow is to have them grow proportionately to the size of the field, right? So if you do a stretch, theoretically, when the field, the area loads back up, it's supposed to grow in all directions according to the size of the screen. And that's what I set all these to. So, okay, you can see these are all stretch. Now here they look fine because I built this card with the idea that it's a small card in this small screen. However, when I click on this, bam, all my text is like, it grew, the font size grew, but as you can see, everything grew disproportionately. It's like my fields are like off the card, they're not even lined up next to each other anymore. They're just a big sloppy mess. So there's a couple of things I can do. One, I can turn these into single labels and then just populate them with their fixed text plus the value, which would mean I can just format it the way I want it. But then the only problem with that is there's going to be no consistency in where text falls, right? So like here I have all my values set up to be aligned to the left, and then all of my text here aligning the way it is. So I can't, these are all individual fields that when the values are available, right now they're hard coded, but when they're available, I can set the values to their actual card value for that card. And so that's why I did it this way. I wanted to have it be kind of a clean, easy way to set up my text that I can just populate it as I go. But when you have dynamically sizing objects in Unity, things don't grow the way you hope, the way that you expect they should. It's really annoying. I'm just saying, it's just not cool, man. So like one of the things you don't notice it because this isn't being squished, but if I go to my game view here and see like this doesn't this isn't resize. Well, it does resize, but it kind of goes like that, and then so it, let's just say things aren't good. Now if I put my text, I think if I put it in here, and you would my expectation would be that when I load up this scene, any attempt to resize the screen would put it where I expect it to be. Like, see how I'm resizing and my screen is reshaping itself? So if I go to my box here and go to my the main screen, and then we'll go to simulator, go to main, and then we go content container, and then we gotta go to the playbook container, and then we hide this because it's in the way, and then we'll make this one visible, and then I'll go down to my zoom panel, which by default is not visible. So here's a problem too. I can't actually look at my grid. See, I don't have a button. I don't have something here to look at. So it makes it a little bit more tricky. But in theory, if I was to go to my, like this, and go to my game card control, this is supposed to resize and shape, but you can see it's like locked in place. So even when I squish my simulator view, see, that just resizes itself. So instead of squishing, I'm getting, see, all that does is, that does not resize. So in other words, in the editor, you can't see this thing distort. It refuses to distort. You have no way to see how it's behaving. Now, normally the way things are supposed to work is when you set this stuff, stretch, you set a component to stretch, it's supposed to grow in both directions. Like you anchor it down, and then it grows up, it grows down. It's just supposed to work. But they don't do things like percentage transformage, right? So in other words, you can't say like always be 3% from the side. It just doesn't work that way. At least not that I've been able to figure out. Because honestly, if this was based on percentages, it would be better, because I could set how far away from the side, and it'll be forced to be that same percentage away all the time. So no matter how much it grows, it's always going to be that far from the edge. And if it grows proportionally, so if it grows, you know, left to right like it's supposed to, it'll take its values with it. Everything grows proportionally. And you should pretty much have the exact same setup. The only problem is when you put a bunch of text boxes, the only way you can do percentage, or, you know, mathematical percentages, is to do it in code, which means you have to basically identify every one of the values in your grid, or everything that you want to be proportional, and grow them their percentages. Which means I have not had my Zip Fizz or my Ghost today. I'll be right back. I'm gonna go get a drink and start drinking caffeine. my Superman cape, my Broncos blanket cape, got caught not once but twice in the dog doors. I tried, like dog gates. I tried to come downstairs. I tried to go through the gate and it would flare out and the gate shut and caught it. And I fixed it, tried to step away and I caught it again. So, yeah, that happened. So I have a rock star in here. Now, I don't mind rock stars as a general flavor, but they're not carbonated, which I gotta say, kind of, you know, I like the carbonation. I don't know what it is. And I don't drink a lot of, got it. Already spilling. Stop it. Totally making a huge mess because the stupid thing stuck to the side of the can. And I was determined to pour it, and it just stayed stuck to the can. So no matter how much I poured it, it kept sticking to the can, and it just ran down the side of the can, and thus everywhere else. Ugh, I am forever making messes out of pouring drinks in my bottle. I'm able to make a mess doing it every time. It's always a different problem. Sometimes it overflows with carbonation. Sometimes it sometimes, you know, it bubbles up. Sometimes I just miss the hole. Sometimes it sticks to the can and it just pours straight down and I make a huge mess everywhere. So far I've luckily managed to avoid getting it too much into my keyboard through some miraculous amounts of luck. Like, and to say that I've managed to mostly do that is to say I have actually gotten it into my keyboard. That was a lot of work. Just getting myself situated. Like blankets getting caught in the gate, come downstairs, spilling drinks. Okay. Anyway, I've been complaining. I've been complaining about Unity. Let me update my title so that I can complain about Unity's under a title. Okay, so how do you spell annoyance? Annoyance? I don't know if my image will update, but let's find out. So I've been trying to come up with a way to do this in code that lets me, I'm thinking what I might want to do is some kind of a script that lets me set the percentages of a component. And then I can just attach that component to all of my text boxes and just make it more easier to use. Oops, what did I do? I set this to play, but did we not get a thing to play? What did I do? Oh, there it goes. All right, so anyway, here is the problem. You can see how my text is all mangled. So I'm thinking about writing my own little component script that allows me to set percentages for the rect transform. Basically, it's a rect transform value percentage. And therefore, whenever it grows or puts itself in, I can have those same images. So I'm going to try it. Let's see what happens. I think that'll just make it so I can add that component to any text box, anything I want, really. And when that item resizes, instead of being dependent on fixed values like this, it will resize on percentages. And then I can kind of see if that works. And then you can adjust them however you want. Each one could have its own, but maybe some of them are the same, or maybe you have them, you know, defined by how far they are from the top and bottom. But I think that might be my best plan. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to go out and write my own little component script. Now, I'm going to use some help with AI, because obviously AI can tell me better how I'm going to accomplish this. But I still think I know how I want to do it, because I'll show you. They have what AI wanted me to do with individual. Now you could set it up as a bulk thing, but bulk doesn't work very well. It's because then you're trying to like do this weird. You create rows for your text and labels, and you gotta use a vertical layer object and a horizontal layer object that gets called from the vertical layer object. You create rows of text and text boxes, and they're all, you have spacing, which puts some help. You know, you're basically building the view. But I feel like I'd almost rather just set the values of each text box like you do when you're setting text boxes. You know, when you're setting them up. If you set the component up, it would be kind of cool if you could just put that component on and it would kind of set itself. So in other words, when you put it in place, you have it basically override the rect transform is basically what you're doing. So I'm gonna see how this works. I don't know how well let's see how good I am at coming up with a alternate solution here. So, all right, AI, time to put you to the. Let's see who's better at this. I'm gonna go Claude Thinky here. I'm gonna say. I'm not sure if Claude Thinky's any better than Gemini. I don't know if Gemini even works. Gemini is really iffy on this. All right, I need a component script that I can add to a text box or really anything with a rect transform. This script will allow me to set the position of the object based on percentages within its parent container. And like the rect transform, it would auto set its values as you move and reshape it. checkbox the bottom of the object we would have adjustable fields with the rect transform left side from left, top from top, right from right, and bottom from bottom as a percentage distance from those sides within parent container. There would therefore be 5 serialized properties. Top distance from top, right side from right, etc. plus the override rect transform plus the override rect transform on build checkbox. Then anytime the object would render, the script would adjust the object according to the settings overriding whatever direct transform set to. All right, let's see what happens. I gotta go get something. Be right back. Is it still thinking? Still thinking. I think it's still thinking. Yeah, it says working. Okay. So this is actually, I think if this works, I feel like it should work. I mean, because I feel like I've done all these things to some extent in the code. So if all things are going well, maybe this can be done. So yes, it's kind of a thing. You have to add the component to the object every time. And we'll see. Because if it works, this will allow me to override the fixed nonsense of the regular rect transform. Because you want resizing, but you want it to be smart resizing. You know, something like if things grow or shrink, it works according to logic, right? Percentagely fixing itself. I don't know if I don't know if this is quite right. It doesn't look quite right. Because no, I guess that's fine. It might be. I might be right. Okay. Component will visually update in the editor or immediately feedback. And when the game is running, it will override the rect transform according to your settings if the override option is checked. Okay, let's try this. So we're going to create a new script. We'll call it a UI script, I guess, and it'll be a common script, right? Now, let's actually put it under common scripts here. We'll call it a core script. And we'll just create scripting empty C# script. And what this one is going to be is it's going to be percentage percent rect transform. Then we'll go open. And we're going to be in here. Where'd it go? Percent rect transform. And then we're going to go grab my new piece of code, which is right here. It's a whole bunch of stuff. We'll see what it does. We'll see how good it is. I have a feeling I'll be tweaking this. I don't think it's going to be quite what I'm thinking, but maybe. We'll see. Okay, so we're going to go over here. I don't think it's running. Okay, it's not running. Okay, so I can go onto my object here. Let's just add component. And we'll call it percent rect transform. So I've got all these values here. And let's see here what this does. Now, it did do what I said. It gave me the serialized values that I need. What I'd like to do is have some kind of a visual feedback, but let's see if I can get this. Sure, we'll override. All right, so let's, I did it on that one, so let's see what happens if I go here property. So by default, it comes in with everything being 0. So essentially, it's within its parent at a maximum size, right? So it's like, that makes sense. Now, if my other stuff is at least a little bit close, they should kind of come back into place when I push this into position. Oh, yeah, that's not working. It's not letting... Oh, do I need to actually set this? Okay, so yeah, I knew it was going to need some adjustments. I think I might be able to do this by setting it, though. Let's see if this works. So if I want to just drag my scale over here. I actually kind of like this. It's not that hard. Oops. There you go. It's kind of what I wanted. Let's go ahead and move the bottom up a slight bit, just to make sure that my text is on the screen. Okay. So there you go. Set and set. Now let's see if this actually does what I expect it to do. This will give me an idea of how functionally accurate this is. Now, in order for that to work, I have to first disable my current settings. I have I think it's game card functionality I got to disable. It's this one, this rec panel. So we're going to take out this stuff. And yeah, I don't need that either. All right. Let's make sure. We're going to find out now if at least the panel. Let's see if the panel's right. And then I can start fiddling with the text boxes. But now, is it perfect? No, I would rather it kind of, it comes in at 0, 0. So as soon as you set it, everything becomes 0. So it's going to be the size of the grid. And then use the sliders to push it into the position you want, which isn't the worst. But I don't know. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to drag it around and position it too. Of course, dragging around isn't that precise either. But the sliders do kind of allow you to see very nicely. And if you want to, you can set the value. I think the sliders are kind of cool, actually. And it wasn't that hard to put that one in place, and you can visually see where it's going. All right, so let's see. We got save, and then we'll go back here, and we'll hit play. Now let's see if this brilliant plan of mine will save me the head pain that I've been finding. I gotta test something first, so I gotta go turn off I gotta set the panels right. The startup state. Now, this is a sign that to me it's working, because this is normally much worse. If I don't have anything resizing. Let's go see what this looks like. If I go to my, oh, that is the zoom panel. But if I go to the zoom container panel, I go here, here. Plain flow text. See, nicely set, nicely set. All right, now the big test. Let's see if I can get this working on my. Oh, I didn't notice, but that's actually too big. On this screen, it doesn't look right. That positions nicely. Oh, because things get distorted by reshaping. Yeah, that's a problem with. That's not a problem because I'm building it for Android and it's going to look fine because it's locked in place. There's no resizing, but that is kind of an issue. Let's go see what this looks like on a tablet. Ew. Not great. But if my resizing tool works, I could probably resize this based on my screen here. And it'll be so much better than the way I'm doing it. Okay, so we're going to go ahead now. We're going to go back over to my card fab, and we're going to try it on a couple other things. I'm going to take that. We're actually going to take it off of the rect transform as well. This is the image resizing. Oops, nope. Just want to comment it out because the image resizing is working and I don't want to break it. But if this works, I'd rather just have it be consistent and have it used everywhere. And so we're going to do that first. Prefab. Add component. And we're going to go to the card. Oh, wait, nope. Nope, 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 nope. Nope, nope, nope. Actually, maybe. Maybe. Nah, no, not putting it there. I have, that's not right. Okay. We're going to go to the card image. Here we'll add it. And let's go to the scene. So, oh, it's looking at the grand image of my simulator. Interesting. So this isn't encased in my parent object? Don't these have a flat design? Interesting. Because I don't know. That's okay. Let's go back to this. I'm going to switch this back over to my phone. Only because I'm trying to see, okay. See, it should be built into the parent. I didn't realize that there's no. If I set, because I can't set this based on percentages of basically I need a defined card, and I think let's I'm going to change this. I'm going to add a UI panel. We're going to call this base card dimensions panel. And we're going to take basically everything here. Put everything in here. Now, this guy doesn't have anything on it. And they're all in there, and it should be based on the parent. I think, since that is technically inside the image, if I remove this, it's not working. Why is it not based on the parent? Oh, that's the background to my... Oh, it is. I wonder if I need to move the background. All right, let's move the background. There it is. So we're going to put that on here. And we'll remove that from here. And then we'll for whatever reason we're going to make that one fully transparent. Okay. There we go. Now I can go back here and make that not transparent. And my image so this guy needs to be set to a size. um, 750, 900. Don't know why it's not in the center. go 0, I guess. And then let's see, that'd be 5 more. So that's 1,000. And 5 times 3 is 5 times 3 is 5 times 3 is 15. Wait, no. 30 times 5 is 150. No, 50. That should work, right? 250 is 5. 250 is 4. Oh, that's 12. Never mind. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, that's better. Okay. And then my card image now needs to sign itself. So we can go down to about right there. Kind of move it in there. From the bottom goes up to, going for right about there. And then, okay. Card name, which is weird in its own right, but I do the same thing. And then we just go from bottom. And from top. Just bring it, oops, nope, wrong one. Just bring it down to about there. And then we'll bring this guy in so that it doesn't look too weird. And I'll bring that guy in as well. And then I'll go here and do the same thing. Just got to do it for each one, but I still think this is way easier, to be honest. At least assuming it all going to work. Let's put the text box correct, and we'll just do one text box and see if my new toy works completely. Oops, put it in here twice. All right. So we're going to go, oops, no, that's probably about right there. The bottom has to come all the way to about, we'll set it to 75, right? No, is that enough? Sure. It's going to be kind of hard to set some of this because and left, we want it a little bit off the side there. I don't know why my font is so wonky. Let's go with 36. 46. Sure. All right. Now let's see if T mastering is up in the right place. If all of this is working, we'll do a file save. And let's see if my my new objects. My new settings are actually showing what they're supposed to. And the first object looked pretty good, but I don't know. You know, you always run into something. So I don't want to go setting all of them and then finding out, yeah, that didn't work. You know. Where's my thing? Okay, that did not resize. I mean, it should have resized based on the container and the parent object. But just like we didn't get. All right, we're not sizing correct. The image, the image resized fine on this one. But when I went tiny, it didn't, and my text is still out of whack. So my text is not auto-sizing great. I feel like I'm close, though, because you can see Team Mastery is actually correctly bigger. I don't know if why did it not work? Because it should have stayed the same. I mean, theoretically, it shouldn't even be able to be this big. Because if my panel in this state is that size. Let's see here. Definitely see the mangle. Let's go see zoom. Card. How about the text? All right, so those guys all did what they're supposed to. Let's close this quick. And then we have our playbook setup, Unity. Available plays, viewport, content. Base card image. All right, so we're getting way gargantuan. My base card dimension isn't shrinking. That's a thing. That needs to fix itself. So it's the new thing I added, so it's quite possibly I didn't do some setting that I needed to. I mean, ultimately, this is all supposed to be based on the container it's within if I was to use my prefab. But the thing is, or not my prefab, but my new script. Okay. So let's go see what my prefab says it's doing wrong. So it looks like it's taking its base card format is what I set it at, rather than just being tiny. I did not stretch on this. Let's try stretch. I'll just stop this. Go stretch on that. 0, 0, 0, 0. And we'll run it again. Back here. Aha, so okay, so we're all fixed. Everybody looks normal again, got pretty much text everywhere it's supposed to be, and now we're cooly moly. What the heck just happened there? Now we're just out of the world. Huh. Everything's just like mangled. This looks like squished. But our base text worked again, so if we hit stop, the question is, what happened? Now it could be that I'm doing stuff that comes along with my zoom panel, because this displayed fine, but I'm doing things in my zoom panel to try to resize and shape, and this is supposed to override all of that stuff. Adjusting the font size. Okay, I'm not worried about that. Calculate target size. Use 80% of the smaller dimension to ensure it fits. See, I think we might be throwing things off. Get rect transform of the card. Yeah, see, I don't even know I need to do any of that anymore. Oh, I do need to do the container width, container height. All right, let's get rid of this one. Set the card size. All right, let's leave that. Let's put a break in here and see what the card size is doing. So if we come in here, we should have target size that's, well, whatever it needs to be. Calculate target size. Use 80% of the smaller dimension to ensure it fits. And then set zoom size. But what is going off the rails? Something's going off the rails when it goes into my that's a font size adjustment, which is the only thing it does. That doesn't do anything. On pointer up. Alright, let's try it again. I'm not completely sure why why that distorts so much. This is kind of what I should see, and that is not what I'm seeing. It looks good there, but then bam, we get out of whack. Why is that happening? It doesn't matter if it's in simulator mode. That actually looks pretty good for the stretched out state. I mean, because that's exactly what it would be. Everybody kind of staying in place. But why is my text? Nothing like the pain of configuration. Because really the only thing that should be happening is I should change the dimensions of the box, and everything else should just fit fit itself. That's what it's supposed to do. And then we have my font adjuster, which is this, but that's not going to have any effect. I mean, the font is kind of big. I don't know why that's happening. But it's kind of where is it and why. For each text elements disable. Base font size. See, this is just the font. It's only changing fonts. All right, I got to take a break. I'll be back shortly.